The Dallas Cowboys will take on the Arizona Cardinals without Kyler Murray. We'll tell you how much of a difference it might make or it might not next.
You are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Welcome back. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is Landon McCool. And on today's show, we are previewing the Week 9 matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Landon, when I recorded the crossover show with Alex Clancy from Locked On Cardinals, we assumed Kyler Murray was going to be the starter for this game. It was trending in that direction. And then late on Friday afternoon, Jonathan Gannon, the Cardinals head coach, named Jacoby Brissett the starter, which is a pretty big deal. My question to you is, how much does it matter that Kyler's not starting and it's going to be Jacoby Brissett instead?
Oh, yeah, it matters. It has an effect for sure. I mean, it changes the way that you expect them to play on offense. And look, I think that it doesn't certainly make you feel 100% better in any different way, but I think it matters in the fact that how the Cardinals will be attacking this Cowboys defense will be different than if you had Kyler Murray in there. But I to be clear, I think part of the reason that the Cardinals felt comfortable giving Murray a little bit of extra time was because of the fact that you've seen such good performances from Brissett against difficult teams these last few weeks. So I do think it makes a difference in the sense of like how the Arizona Cardinals play with Brissett versus how they play with Murray. But as far as efficacy or how much the Cowboys defense needs to be concerned, especially considering how they've played, I don't know that it has that much of an effect.
No, I 100% agree. Like our friends at FanDuel, they have the over-under on this game at 54. That's what it was on Wednesday and Thursday when Kyler Murray was expected to start. Once Jacoby Brissett was named a starter, it didn't change. It stayed at the exact same number. The only difference is now you can go bet on Jacoby Brissett props instead of Kyler Murray. It's going to change how the Cowboys defend this one. Defend the quarterback. I do think Brissett's a lot more stationary, and you know where he's going to be. At the same time, he's going to stand in the pocket. He's going to throw the ball down the field. I would rather it be Brissett, having said that right now. But again, we'll get to game time. I might change my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I had a normal defense, I would say, oh, yeah, absolutely, you would prefer Brissett. Because it's the Cowboys defense, I'm saying I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters. So let's talk about the keys to stopping this Cardinals offense with Jacoby Brissett under center. What do they need to do to at least slow them down a little bit?
Well, again, I think it's going to be about focusing on the receiving weapons, right? I think the big difference you have with Kyler Murray back there is that maybe it's a little bit less stable passing attack. I think Brissett will take what's given. I think he's very efficient in getting through his reads and getting this ball out to the open receiver, which is going to be a problem for the Cowboys. I think they've had a problem, getting on receivers and not giving up a bunch of space. So I think Brissett's going to have a lot of clean reads just because of who he's facing this week. But I think the one thing that you don't have to worry about as much is if you wanted to play a little bit more man coverage, you don't have to worry about Brissett taking off as much as Murray. I mean, Brissett will still get you a little bit with his legs considering he's an older guy, but he certainly isn't the threat with his legs the way that you worry about Kyler Murray if you have a bunch of defenders with their backs turned to him.
All right, I want to talk about stopping Trey McBride because that's really the number one option in this passing game. He's the guy that, whether it's Kyler or Jacoby Brissett, he's the one on third downs that they're looking to get the football. And with the Cowboys having so many injuries at safety right now, no Malik Hooker, we'll see about Donovan Wilson. He's very 50-50 to play. Wanye Thomas has been dealing with some migraines. How do you control Trey McBride so he doesn't dominate this game?
Yeah, and you have to feel like they're going to throw the football a ton because they don't have anything in the run game really. I mean, I think Kyler Murray is currently their rushing leader, and he's missed 2 games and he's the quarterback. So yeah, like they've been rotating a bunch of people at the running back spot. And so really, yeah, I imagine that we're going to get a hefty load of Trey McBride, who has been the main target in this offense. And I think trying to do so with what the Cowboys have been rolling out at safety is going to present a difficult task. So you have to wonder, do the Cowboys get a little bit creative here? Do they specifically assign this to maybe one of the cornerbacks, or maybe Marquise Bell specifically will just be on top of McBride the whole time, and then they mix it up? So yeah, it's an interesting way to have to attack this, specifically with the Cowboys' kind of lack of talent there, and then obviously injury on top of that. And then you can't forget about the rest of the guys that are on the rest of this, receiving core. It's not a super impressive unit necessarily, or maybe they haven't, shown out the way that you would expect for them to. But Marvin Harrison is still, a big athletic wide receiver. Michael Wilson has done a lot of things in this league for a long time. And if you leave these guys open, Zay Jones, again, another guy, if he plays, I think is another guy who, if you leave him open, they can make you pay. So it's not necessarily only about stopping Trey McBride. They've got professional wide receivers who may not be explosive playmakers all the time, although Marvin Harrison certainly can do that. But I think if you leave these guys open while you're making efforts to try to shut down Trey McBride, that's where I guess Jacoby Brissett can be a little bit more dangerous, getting to his second and third reads to these guys. Like Wilson.
Do you want to see them blitz more in this game? Because Brissett is not a runner. Like, he's not going to get outside the pocket. Like, do you try to blitz him to speed things up a little bit? He doesn't have the quickest release. Like, he's going to know where to go with the ball. But I do wonder if that's the ideal strategy here.
I think you definitely will fold it in a little bit more. You certainly don't want to do it exclusively because, Brissett is a veteran quarterback who's seen this before. And again, if you're worried about like tackling Trey McBride, they're going to be able to get the ball to him quickly on hot stuff. So yeah, I do think you want to blitz, but maybe not all the time, because again, I think, Brissett is a veteran quarterback and it's not going to work every single time. But as opposed to like, when you have Murray out there and he's so dangerous with his legs, you're not going to like try to just like muddle the pocket. You want to get after Jacoby Brissett and make him, force the issue a little bit, because he isn't going to make you pay necessarily the way that Murray is if you speed him up too much with his legs.
And we're going to talk about the Cowboys offense, but we expect the Cowboys to be able to move the ball. This is the healthiest they've been on offense in a long time. They've had, 8 days to prepare for this game. I would rather be aggressive on defense, trying to get turnovers, try to get sacks. And yeah, if you get hit over the top for a big play to Marvin Harrison Jr., okay, you live with it. But what you don't want to have is where it's these 9, 10, 12 play drives where Jacoby Brissett is just dinking and dunking the ball down the field. Like, that's how you lose this game. You have more talent. You are the better team. You're at home. You're favored. You've got your starting quarterback. I want to make this game as many possessions as possible. And that's how I would call it if I was a defensive coordinator. And yeah, you might get beat that way. I would rather lose being aggressive than being passive and letting Arizona kind of control the tempo of this game.
Yeah, I think, because you have Brissett in there, I wouldn't be afraid to kind of play a heavy amount of man coverage this week and come after the quarterback a little bit, make him hold on to the football and see if you can get the ball out of his hands, strip sack, that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to want to get him into a rhythm passing game. They're going to want to kind of get him going early and then just try to get the ball out of his hands quickly to his playmakers, not have him hold the ball too long, because again, even though he's a good quarterback, he's still got a kind of a makeshift offensive line to be kind, and an opportunity down the field is going to be difficult even to block it up. So if the Cowboys are able to send blitzes, especially on third downs, they're going to be able to get after Brissett a little bit and hopefully force the issue, maybe create a turnover or two.
The issue is going to be getting to third down. We saw that last week against Denver when there was only 2 or 3 third downs in the entire first half.
Absolutely.
That'll be the key. If the Cowboys can get Arizona into a lot of third downs, I think they'll be okay. Let's talk about that Cowboys offense, which is going to have to be darn right flawless again in week 9. We will get to that next.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
This episode is brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. And if you need parts fast for a project, Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Their part finder tools and 3D scanner can help you save hours on the job when every detail matters. So join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That is Supply House, SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. Real people, real service. Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Landon, let's talk about this Cowboys offense, because for the most part this season, it's been pretty darn good. But this Jonathan Gannon scheme has given Dak Prescott some problems before. How do you envision the Cowboys trying to attack Arizona on Monday night?
Yeah, I think one thing that's been kind of underreported this week a little bit, just because there's been a lot of other storylines and things going on, is the return of Klayton Adams to Arizona, right? And this is a guy that obviously was on the coaching staff and has practiced and scrimmaged against Jonathan Gannon a lot. So I'm interested to see exactly how Klayton decides to attack this Jonathan Gannon defense, because I think that's going to be one of the more interesting storylines in this game. You know, you look at this group and you know, he was one of the kind of people on the forefront of bringing quarters back into the NFL at a heavy rate. They lead the NFL in their quarters usage almost exclusively, or most specifically on first and second downs. So that's really what the Cowboys need to kind of work on a little bit this week, is what get their quarters beaters out, which is ironic. If you're two online, you saw a lot of conversation.
Can you throw the ball over the top against quarters?
You certainly can. Yes.
Okay.
Especially in the Mills concept, if you're going to hit that post shot. Yeah. I mean, I think there was a lot of conversation about whether quarters can be beaten over the top, but I think it was fun just because the Cowboys, again, are playing a team that plays a ton of quarters. So what does that mean? Quarters is a very versatile defense that allows you to do a bunch of different stuff, including man match coverage and stuff. So it's just a kind of a neat defense that can be bent and shaped the way that you want it, but basically it allows you to play with eyes on the quarterback. It's a zone coverage that can be made to look like man a little bit. So it's very versatile on first and second downs when you've got, you know, a balanced attack coming at you. So the Cowboys got to find a way to kind of attack that, get their running game back going, especially. I think that's going to be really important this week, to be efficient, especially on early downs, and then getting them into inefficient passing downs. They have good guys in the back end, but there can be lots of stuff to be made against this defense if you get them into a situation where they have to defend a pass on a short field.
It's really the run game. I mean, I have no doubt that CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are going to win their matchups. They're just more talented than the corners that Arizona has. Now, Will Johnson's been really good for them. He's a little beat up right now, but he's expected to play. Those guys are going to be fine. But if you can run the ball, if you can get into, 11 personnel and run against some lighter boxes and get to second and manageable and convert third downs, I think you're going to be able to move the ball up and down the field. That's what Indianapolis did against them. It's what Green Bay did in the second half. But also Arizona knows that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of run blitzes on first and second down or obvious run situations. It's going to be a cat and mouse game here between Brian Schottenheimer and Jonathan Gannon, who I really respect. This is not going to be easy. Like, you look at Arizona's talent on defense and you would just assume the Cowboys are going to be able to score 30, 35 plus. This is a really well-coached unit that's going to try to trick Dak into just to doing certain things that maybe he doesn't want to do. I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, and like you mentioned before, Dak has had some issues at times with this defense. So I do think that this is why you bring in a guy like Klayton Adams, so that they have answers outside of just having Dak have to solve these complicated coverages. Right? Is when you can get a varied and versatile run game that can help counterbalance the passing attack. It gives you more looks, it gives you more windows, and again. The other things that Schottenheimer brought into this offense, right? The motion, the shifts that help identify things a lot more. Those are things that Dak have at his disposal that he didn't necessarily at certain points when he faces Gannon defense. So hopefully he's able to leverage those things and have more success than he has in the past.
One of the things I'd like to see from the Cowboys offense, not just in this game, but over the course of the season, is some of these like 3-step, 5-step drops with the idea of just getting rid of the ball, getting the ball out of Dak's hands quickly for 7-yard gains. Like on first down, because of the way linebackers drop, like on play action, a lot of times you can get some easy chunks in the passing game and just set yourself up for success. And I think against a defense that's going to play a lot of quarters, that middle of the field should be open. Like, this has got to be a game that I think like Javonte Williams, Jake Ferguson, Luke Schoonmaker, they should be able to catch a ton of passes over the middle.
Yeah, maybe this is the game where you can get Blue going a little bit, right? Out of the backfield, catching short outlet passes and turning them into something. Oh, that's a good point. But yeah, I mean, I think just like guys who can catch passes underneath and create. I think that's kind of where we're getting at, right? And even Lipke, right? Guys like that, just guys who you can, the Cowboys had success with that little swing screen, one-man screen out to the flat. Stuff like that. Get this defense dropping deep and attack the underneath coverage for easy yardage on first down. And then gives you better options on second down to either attack down the field or run the convert. And then if it doesn't work, you've got an easy and manageable third down situation, which as long as you're staying ahead of the chains, I think you're going to be in a good spot against this defense.
I want to see what CeeDee Lamb looks like. I thought last week against Denver, like, it's so clear that he's not 100% healthy. He was checking himself kind of in and out of that game. Maybe the altitude had something to deal with it. I think he maybe banged up his ankle a little bit more, but you've had 8 days. You're at home. This is where he needs to take over. He needs to have one of those vintage, 8 catches for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. They really need CeeDee Lamb to play like a superstar. And if he does, I think the offense is going to be just fine.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, again, I think that you talked about the talent and coverage on the outside is still young. I think on the inside, they don't have anyone who can keep up at the nickelback position with CeeDee Lamb if he's healthy. So, yeah, we need to see a healthy version of CeeDee Lamb operating out of the slot, and you're going to see fireworks on this offense.
All right, let's make some predictions. Week 9, Monday Night Football, Cardinals, Cowboys. We'll get to that next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's not a better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or just want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next bucket to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late game push. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen every single day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL podcast. 2 shows every single day. 1 in the morning with Tyler Rowland, 1 in the afternoon with Tony Wiggins, available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Landon, Monday Night Football, Cowboys, Cardinals. Isn't this the Rod Tidwell game from Jerry Maguire? Didn't they?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is.
Monday Night
Yeah,
Football?
show me the money, buddy. Baby, let's see it.
It's been a while since the Cowboys and Cardinals have played on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins this game?
I'm picking the Cowboys. I mean, I kind of feel like they're on this win one, lose one pattern, and why not kind of roll with it a little bit? I mean, look, I just feel like right now they're a little bit better offense at home, right? And I think that I feel like they're a little bit more reliable. And I just think that this defense that they're facing is good, and I like Jonathan Gannon, what he can do. But I also think that this Cowboys offense has the tools that it needs to kind of have better success than it has in the past. You know, all the things we mentioned, like you said, the motion that helped kind of pre-snap identification for Dak, and just a more varied run game, which I think is going to help kind of control the clock a little bit more, which I think will help the defense as well. And I think that because it's Brissett, you know, I think it's going to allow the Cowboys defense to play a little bit more in a way that won't allow them to be exploited as easily, right? It allows them to play a little bit with a little bit more aggression and not so much on the back foot, you hope. But we'll see if that's actually the case. So I'm going to pick the Cowboys to win. I think something like 28-24 is a good score. And I just feel like the Cowboys hopefully will be able to run the football, control the clock, and control the ball a little bit. And that'll help them kind of do what they weren't able to do last week, which is serve the two masters of scoring points and protecting their defense a little bit better than they did against Denver.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Dallas as well. You know, I don't really take the Cowboys very often. It's partly because it's a bit, partly because I don't trust this team. But I do think 8 days to prepare for this game. They were embarrassed last week in Denver. They're just much better at home. I would think the atmosphere is going to be loud. And I know I've said this a couple of times, but this is kind of their season. Like you and I were talking today. If the Cowboys lose this game and they drop to 3-5-1 with so many teams in the NFC ahead of them, with Philadelphia 3 wins ahead of them, it's just hard to envision that they're going to come back, especially with their upcoming schedule where you have a game, you know, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Detroit, Minnesota, the Chargers. Like, it's going to be really tough. And this is probably not a playoff team, but to even give yourself a shot, you have to win this game. And if you lose this one going into the bye week, into the trade deadline, it's going to be pretty dark for this Cowboy team. I think we see a better effort from the defense. I think we see the offense tuned in. And I do think they win a 30-27 game, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a game the Cowboys control. I think it's going to be really, really tight throughout. And I would think Dak at home gets it done.
Yeah, this Arizona team doesn't necessarily feel like a team that is still playing for a ton, right? Like, I mean, I think, you know, maybe if Murray was coming back, that would have galvanized them into thinking, okay, let's get back into a playoff run, you know. But I think that, you know, another week with Brissett, even though he's played admirably these last 2 weeks, you know, this isn't exactly a team that's fighting for their season or anything. The Cowboys have more on the line. They're playing at home. And again, it goes back to who has the better quarterback. Dak is much better quarterback in this situation. So even with the Cowboys defense being the way it is, I think it's a safe bet to pick the Cowboys at this point.
Another reason why I'm taking Dallas is I think when Kyler plays, the run game is a lot more dangerous because of all the read options you can do. Where you can do, you know, he can take off and scramble. But with Brissett in there and with James Conner out for the season and Trey Benson out for this game, and I think it's Bam Knight and Michael Carter, who's like a passing down back.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona runs the ball well. I just don't know if those guys are quite as scary. And without Kyler, I just think they're going to be a little bit easier to defend. I still think Arizona's going to score like 24, 27 points, but I don't know if they're quite as dangerous as some of the other offenses that they face this year that have more consistent run games.
Yeah, I think if Arizona does have success running the football, I think it's going to be a lot of empty calorie success because the Cowboys are focused on stopping the run, right? So if there's a balanced passing attack and they're able to move the ball through the air, and the Cowboys are unable to stop the run, then look out, it could be another one of those games. But I do think that the state of the Arizona Cardinals run game is pretty bad considering their offensive line, considering the injuries that they face at the running back position, and as you said, an run game that isn't necessarily based solely on Kyler Murray being there, but it added an extra element to the running game that kind of made it even more dangerous. You take away all those other elements, and it's almost like, man, what do they have there? Like I said, there's a reason that Kyler Murray, who again will be missing his third game this season, and as a quarterback, is the leading rusher on this team. They can't seem to get a footing there, and they don't really know what to do with themselves when it comes to running the football on offense.
If the Cowboys win this game and they're 4-4-1 going into the bye week, perfect 500 record, how you feeling?
I'm still feeling meh. I think we need something to make this defense play better. And I think it's not just a mentality. You need personnel better. So it's not just a win that's going to need to turn this around a little bit. It's a win, a trade with some personnel changes, something that's going to really change the angles on defense. That's got to make me feel better about the hopes of this team, at least for this season.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel. You could look at some of their wins and not feel great about it. Beating Russell Wilson, beating Justin Fields, beating whatever this Washington team was with Marcus Mariota in the second half. But again, you give yourself a shot going into the second half of the season, going into your bye week to maybe go on a run, even if it feels unlikely. It gives yourself some hope. We'll see what the Cowboys can do on Monday Night Football. That is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen every single day. Check out the channel on YouTube. Download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are free and available on all platforms. Follow Landon on Twitter at McCoolBCB. I'm at Marcus _Mosher. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you right back here on Tuesday.